Hey there, thanks for joining me for this Camtasia Answers Live. If you don't know me, my name is Ron Hogue. I'm at cammastery.com, and I like to get together, every once in a while and answer some questions live. That's what this is all about. Cam Answers, the YouTube channel, is here to answer your Camtasia questions. So today I have a couple of questions for you. First thing we're going to go over is backing up slides. So I got a question about how to do backups and deleting content. Second question I got was about sliding text boxes. For those of you who are trainers, you'll want to know how to do how to bring in information from the side. So I'll show you how to do that. And then lastly, intro graphics. There's a question that was asked last week, and I want to come back to that. It's a follow-up question, and it's just about putting graphics at the beginning of your training lessons. And I definitely have a very strong stance on that. All right, so let's go to that first question. And here we want to talk about, let's see, it says, thank you for the course. So if you didn't know, of course, we have Camtasia Mastery for the course. I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not, but how can I delete one project? All right, so this person is looking at creating or running out of space on their computer. And so they say, hey, how do I get rid of this project? I have the, what do they have here? They have the MP4, they have the free space that they need. Everything's done. They just need to clean it up, and they want to make sure that they do it right. So how do we do that? So let's go over to Camtasia and take a look at this. And the easy way to do this is if we go up to File, we'll go to Export and Zipped Project. So this is the way that I like to do that. Let me zoom in just a little further. So if we do Zipped Project, then what we see here is the ability for us to go ahead and export everything that we have together in this project. What do I mean by that? So if I'm thinking about, we want this. So if I'm thinking about the media and any of the clips, anything that's inside my project, I can export the whole thing. The question is specifically about just deleting the project. Now, remember, project files are very, very small, and so we don't need to just delete projects. In fact, I like to have several project files. You know that I do V1, V2, V3, all the way through till I'm done. It might be up to V15 or something like that. So those project files are really small. They just take up a very small amount of space. It's like a text file, honestly, so it's incredibly small. Except on the Mac. Those of you on the Mac, it tends to be larger. Whenever you save the project, it saves everything together in a big bundle. So if you're on Mac, I wouldn't recommend necessarily saving all those different versions. But on PC, just saving several project files, hey, that's great. Go for that. Don't worry about that. Seems like the question, though, is more in regard to how do I do it safely to make sure I keep everything? And so when you do this file export and save it as a zipped project, everything comes together in one package, and that is your entire project file. It's the project, it's the media, it's everything. One other thing to know about this is that you can take this and share it with somebody else. It doesn't even have to be on your computer, so you can give it to somebody else who has Camtasia on their machine, and with that, they are able to go to their, open up your project and edit your project without any problems. Okay, so that was number one. Question number two, where in the course can I find out how to do this sliding text thing? Okay, so let me talk about this for just a moment. If you're doing training, a lot of times you'll want to bring in the sliding text. So Kevin asked this question. He said, you bring in some text along the side, and I want to see how to do that. Ideally, if you're working with a course and you want to put text up on the screen, you'll have a designated space for that. So some people will bring it in at the bottom. I like to have it over on the side. So what I'm going to do next is show you how to do that inside Camtasia. So let's jump over to Camtasia, and we'll cancel out of this. And I'll go to my library, and I'll just bring in a camera video, just so we have something to work from, so we can see what this list looks like. So I'll start with this. I'll just split it here. We don't need this to be too long. That's just a few seconds, and that's fine. So what I'll do is I will grab an annotation, and specifically, I like those corners, sharp corners that we have here. Let me just grab that and drag that up. So sharp corners on the bold items, as opposed to if you just use the basic items, they have rounded corners. So for this, like I said, I like to use the sharp corners. And what I'll do is I'll put this off to the side. Now you'll want to probably brand this somehow, and you'll want to use the right amount of space that you need for your text. So when I say brand this, what I mean by that is filling this with a color that you use. So I don't know what colors you'll use, but I think in the example I used some kind of nice blue like this. So what we'll do is stick with this as the blue, and then I'm going to position everything with the text that I want to bring on as well. So I'll grab some text, and usually for this I will left align the text, and this will be, info 1, and you probably know I like Lado. You might not know that. I like Lado, so I'm going to go with Lado. Lado is one of my favorites, so we'll do Lado. 96 looks pretty good to me. The other thing I'll do is sometimes I'll pop this toward the top and do something like this. So this would be the first bit of information I'll want to bring in. I'll do a Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and then I'll have whatever my second item is that I want to mention. Item number 2, and then paste. That was my YouTube key. Copy this, paste again, and then we'll make this number 3. Control-Z. Bring it to here, and info number 3. So this is the information that I want to put on the screen. What I'll do is make sure that the shape is the duration of all of these. So usually I'll bring the shape in, then I'll bring in info 1, then info 2, then info 3, and then I'll stop everything at the same time. So wherever that might be, we'll have it all just disappear at the same time. So all the end times are the same. So how do I do this? Well, at the beginning, I'm starting here full screen. And I say, okay, that's fine. Let me go zoom a little bit in. Now we'll go to the upper left here. So then what I want is I want this to come in animated. I want this to slide in. So I'm going to add an animation. I'm actually going to add 2 animations. I'm going to click and make sure I have this selected, just the shape. I'll do a Shift-A to add an animation at the beginning. And I'll do a Shift-A because I was going to add a second animation, have it, I'll animate it out as well. All right, so where I want it to begin is I want it to begin off screen. And I want it to come in, and I usually only want this to come in like half a second. So let's do that. So we'll come in, and then it comes in, and then this bit of information will pop in. And then at the end, I'll have it slide back off. And again, I'll lower this down to half a second. There we go. So now we're just looking at the box. The box slides in. Information will pop up whenever I talk about those topics. And then when I'm done, that will slide away. I'll have the text disappear as well. But another thing that I do whenever I have it slide in is I change my screen here. So I'm going to do a Shift-A, and I'm going to change my camera so that it also slides over. So what I'll do is I'll go to here, and what I want is for myself to be somewhat centered in the space that's left. So I'm going to look at my shoulders and try and get, like my sleeves here. So that's right about in the middle of what's left. So let's look at that. So now when I come over here, notice everything slides over. So that's how I would create that first part, just by sliding everything over. Now, for the information, you know what? I'm gonna bump this up just a bit. One track. I want to add one more track. So let's copy and paste again. Usually I like to add a title right at the beginning. So let's put a title, and for the title, I'll put that at the top. And for that, I will center the title. So if you need a title, it makes sense to center it. So this is, I don't know. I'll just say title. Make it nice and simple. So I have the title there, and I like to drop that in. So I'm going to do another Shift-A on the title, and I'll make that half a second. And I want it to drop in. So I want it, did I select the wrong one? Selected the wrong one. So let me undo. That one was on top. Let's just bump this up a track. So I'm going to move this track up. There we go. So this is actually info. This is actually the title. There we go. Shift A, half a second or so. And at the beginning, I want it to drop in. So I'm just going to drag this up to the top and then have it drop in. So let's look at this from this point. I'm talking, slide over, drop in the title, and then info 1. Now for info 1, I usually like to have that slide in from the same side that the box slid in from. So I'll do another Shift A, make that half a second. And of course, I'm making all of these half a second. It would probably be to my benefit to go to my preferences, go to timing and say, hey, Ron, whenever you add an animation, 0.5 seconds, please. Let's just do that. We'll make that a little faster for us. So now, where do I want this to start? I want it to start off screen. Now, when I do this, I'm going to look at my properties, because here in the position, I'm thinking about, I want this to be the same height. I don't want it to come from lower and swing up. I don't want it to come up from higher and slide down. I want that same height, and that height value, where it is now, is this Y value. So I'm going to select it, and I'm just going to copy that Y value. It happens to be 286. I could remember that if I want. But now I'm just going to drag this off to the side. And when I dragged it to here, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's where it was. Well, it wasn't exactly. Remember, it was 286, so I'll just paste that number in, and now it's exactly at that same height. So let's try this. Let's see how we have it so far. This slides in, title swings in, info 1. Now that title comes in a little later than I want, so I'm just going to have that come in right as the box is coming in, right after the box finishes. I might even want that a little faster, because half a second might be shorter than what I need. Oop, wrong item. I need the title. Let's make it closer to 1/4 of a second. Yes. And then I'll have this info slide in. So let's try that again. And then I'll just do the same thing. So I don't know when the next time is that I need the info 2 to slide in, but I'll do something similar. Now with info 2, I snuck that in directly below info 1. So I'll snap, that'll be easy for me to get that off the screen. So what I'll do is I'll do a Shift A to add an animation to info 2. I'll double click it to go to the beginning, and at the beginning, I just want it to be off screen. So see, that yellow snap line is keeping me at that same Y value all the way across. As long as that yellow snap line is there, I'm at the same level. So I'll say, yep, that's good there. And then I can do the same thing here for item 3. Add that. And again, I'll double click to go to the beginning. Drag it to, where's that yellow snap line? There it is. And so let's just play through this really quick. So the title comes in, talk about the first thing, talk about the second thing, talk about the third thing, whenever that is. And then when I'm done, I usually like to have those just disappear or fade out. So what I'll probably do is select all of these text boxes, all 4, including the title, and I will do a Shift A, and I will say, hey, let's just fade those guys out. And so now as they're there, I watch, they fade out, and then as soon as those fade out, I want that blue box to go away. So let's try that. Good. So just to play through it one more time, I come in, I'm over here, I talking about the different items, whatever they may be. I could have 5, 6, 7 items on this screen. That's fine. Fade away and go back. Now I might want to have those fade a little faster. Yeah, who knows? That's just personal preference. And the last thing I want to do is make sure that my video slides back to where it was. Now the easy way for me to get that is I'm going to go over to Animations and select the Restore Animation and drag that down here. There we go. And we want that to happen the same time that the blue box slides over. There we go. So from scratch, this is how I would do it. Drop that title in, info 1, talk a little bit, info 2, make sure you know this thing, info 3. Now that you know all that, fade it out and zip back over. Now we don't have to fade it out. The other thing that I will sometimes do, so let me do a quick save here. Let's save this as, we'll save this as V1. I'll give it a more meaningful name afterward. The next thing I want to do is, though, try to just have all of these slide out at the same time. So I'm going to keep that animation. But what I'll do is I will make sure that these don't fade out. I should have selected them all. That's okay. we'll do these last two together. We'll say let's have them all there, but let's have them all slide out together. So I want that to come over here. All right, let me undo that. I'm going to need that same height. So a trick that I'm going to use here, I'm going to grab the title, which is this guy here. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste him. And right here is where the title location is. So now I'm going to say for each of these items, I'm just going to use that title for a frame of reference. Let's see, did I grab everything? This one too. So if I didn't grab everything, I'm going to hold down Shift to select that thing that I missed. And I'm going to say when this slides off the screen, I want it to slide. I want all of these. Oop. Try again. I want all of these to slide off here. So I'm using, there we go, off to the side here. So I used this as a reference. It was snapping. And so now that I have used it for the guide, I can delete it. And all of those should just slide off together. They didn't. So why did they not all slide off together? They have a little bit of a timing difference. And I'm curious about that. Why the timing difference? Because it looks like it starts and ends at the same time. My guess is the type of easing that we have. So here we have auto easing. And let me look at this guy and see if he has the same. He's the same. So that is curious. I would have imagined they would have all been together. Let me just say exponential in out for all of these. And that is going to be somewhat boring to watch this, so I'll do my best to do these as quickly as I can. Of course, if I'm trying to do these as quickly as I can, then that means I can't talk at the same time because my brain can only do one thing. Let's see if that makes any difference. Nope, those, whatever reason, why are those words sliding off earlier? I don't know. So what I would do is, because that animation, let's see, it actually starts, they do slide. They just, oh, it's the distance. Okay, I got it. So they just need to slide a little further to the right. That's the issue. So I'm going to use the scroll wheel and scroll down and just make sure those go out a little further. So I'm going to select these and let's see the best way to do this. I'm going to grab that text or that title again. Copy, paste, make sure he's up here for my guide. Then I'm going to grab these guys down here again, go to the end, and I just need them to all go over a little further to the right. So again, I'm looking to make sure, maybe it's, I mean, that should be the location right there, but I'll just drag it a little further to the right just to make sure. So let's see how that looks. Nope. How far over to the right does that go? All right, I'm going to undo that because now that I'm thinking about it, I think, oh, I grabbed this shape with it. That was the problem. Don't grab the bottom item. Okay. Now I figured it out. I'm going to just jump down. We just want this to be over here. Okay. Figured it out. Let's try it one more time. There we go. They all go over together. This was my reference. I can delete that. Okay. One more time. Yep, they all slide out together. So the issue was I grabbed the shape and I dragged it out to the side and shouldn't have done that. That's okay. All right, so what I'll do, I'm going to save this as V2. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to make sure that you have this available to you. So what I'll do, let's save that real quick. I'll grab this. I will right-click my video here and I will convert it to a placeholder. So now you have the ability to drag your video directly into this same thing, and then all the animations will be there. So you can drag your camera video in if you're using camera video, and then have this slide in and slide back out. Of course, you'll need to change durations and the colors and all this other stuff. But if you want a copy of this, want to make sure to be able to get that to you so you can use it in your own. Another thing that I will sometimes do, depending on what I'm working with, is I'll just slide in from the other side. So instead of coming in from this side, I'll come in from the other side. And that just mixes things up. So if I go back, I could grab this shape, copy, I could come over here, I could paste, and I say, nope, I actually want this shape to be here. I want it to start on this side all the way to the left, and I want it to end in that same place. So I will copy its properties here all the way on the left. I'll come out here, I will paste its properties so it goes out there, and then we can watch it slide in, do its thing, and then when it's done, slide back out. So you can change the you can change the way things look. If you want it to come in from a different side, I think that looks good. The other thing I like to do is I like to change the color. So if you're, we may have this blue come in on this side. Maybe on this side, I want to have a different color. Okay. Oh, here's a good thing. Okay. So if we change the color, let me show you. You'll want to edit all animations. So this is another good trick. So let's say you go in here and let's just change the color here real quick. And I'll jump over here so you can see this. I say, oh, Ron, that blue is nice, but I like red. Red is my color. I say, great. And you say, okay. So if I go out here and I play through this, you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And then it goes and it goes out. What's happening is you should be able to see that it is doing both. It's changing color. It's animating from blue into red and then back into blue. And we don't want that. So what I would do is I would undo this. So Control Z to undo. Now we're back to blue. When you need to change your color, instead of just changing that one animation, I want you to go up here to the top. So let's look at this nice and big where it has the annotation. I have that blue annotation selected. If I look at this, it says the properties are just going to affect a single animation. But if I click it, now I get this warning in the middle of my screen that says this button toggles edit all animations mode on and off. Do you want to do this? Yes, I do. And I never check this box. I always want to see this warning pop up. It's like, are you sure you want to enable edit all animations? Yes, absolutely I do. And now when I go back over here to the left, let me go to the top. You can see that these dots are all the same. And they're all red instead of just it being the one. And when I change it now from blue to say red, and I look, it is red here at the left, it is red in the middle, and as I leave here on the right, it is red. Okay, so that is an important thing to note if you need to make any changes to the color, change it all the way across. Okay, so I will, like I said, I'll have that as a download for you. So go ahead and check the description below for a download link. I'll probably bundle maybe both of these together or something like that for you. And then the last question I had, let's go back to our questions, was we're talking about the intro video. So thinking about the sheep item that we did last week, this person Barb wanted to have, this whole logo occasionally on the intro of her videos. So she said something like, well, can I have it at the beginning of each section? And that's fine. The issue that I have, the thing that I feel so strongly about, is that I don't want you to put your intro at the beginning of every video in your course. Please, 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 I beg you, do not put your intro video at the beginning of every video of the course. I have attended multiple courses where people were so proud of their branding and their video, and they were like, hey, look at me, aren't I so great? And it just got so boring. After the third, fourth, fifth time, you're like, okay, I'm done. But your course could have 20 videos, 40 videos, who knows? And by the 40th time, you're sick of it, and you're actually kind of mad. Like, I was mad. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want your students to have that same experience. So my recommendation is if you want to have some sort of branding, don't put it on every single video. Instead, just put it maybe at the beginning, maybe occasionally throughout the course if it's one major section. So if you have it like 3 or 4 times, 5 times in the course, that's probably fine. Grand total, I wouldn't want to do more than that. My recommendation to Barb, though, was to use it as a bug. So a bug is just an animated video intro that you would put in the corner. So you've probably seen this where you're watching television and then, in the lower part of the screen, maybe over here or over here, there's some kind of animation that comes in. So let me show you that. I'm going to go back over to Camtasia and I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to just drop a little further over here and I am going to grab my camera video again, just to show you what that looks like. Come back over to this point where I'm talking. And what I did was I grabbed her sheep and I have this whole thing here. So what I did was I rendered it out. And what I told her to do was to use this as just, let me just make this smaller, a little video down here in the corner. So she wanted to have it in the lower right. So I was like, yep, that looks good. Something like that, maybe up a little bit. So then I can be in the middle of talking And then this little logo pops up, and then it fades away, and that's it. Okay, so I feel like that's a much better way to do your branding. It's just like, hey, I'm going to put this little bit of info here, rather than just having at the beginning of every video in your course and, the intro logo and the sound and everything. Just have that little bit in the lower right. I feel like that's fine. I actually recommended to Barb that she put it in the lower left. She said, yeah, but the sheep is looking that way. I'd rather have it look into the frame, which honestly, that is the right way to think about it. So that is the better way. So I congratulate Barb on thinking that way. The reason the reason that I recommended the lower left is when you're hosting a course, if you're hosting a video even on YouTube, YouTube has its own logo there in the lower right. And if you're using a platform like Udemy to host your course, they will also put their logo there in the lower right. So if you put your logo there, then their logo is on top of your logo, and then that just doesn't look great. So I said, look, if you are going to use it in the lower right, maybe just bump it up a little bit. So it's not exactly the lower right-hand corner, but up a little bit from there. All right. So I think that was all I needed to tell you. Yeah, that's it. We are at the end. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. If you have questions, leave a comment in the description below, and I will do my best to get to your questions and answer those. I'm, still working on this whole live thing. It's something that's new to me, and I think it's a little bit fun. It's something to interact with folks. So if you like this, please let me know, and I'll continue to do some more live question answers. Or if you just say, hey, you know what, just record it and edit out the mistakes and things like that later, that's just as good. Hey, I'm good with that too. But I think there's an element of live that I enjoy. Hope you enjoy it too. And so until next week or whenever I go live again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See ya.